Hello my friends, Thomas with Alpha Concepts, and we're going to talk today about how you can transport your firearm in Illinois. We need to discuss this because the law has changed, so there's some things that you need to know. First, what we're going to talk about is for residents. We're also going to talk about non-residents. We're going to talk about the differences between carry and transportation. We'll talk about a few legal definitions. And then we'll talk about the changes to the law, which is were passed with the Illinois assault weapon ban. That does make some changes and exemptions for non-residents and Olympic competitors, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. All right, so let's talk about how to transport a firearm in Illinois. The Illinois Criminal Code, the Wildlife Code, the Concealed Carry Licensing Act, they talk about three different ways that you can transport your firearm in Illinois. They say unloaded and enclosed in a case, and a case is a very broad term. Then it talks about a firearm is broken down in a non-functioning state. And then it also says not immediately accessible. And to transport your firearm, you have to pick one of those three. It doesn't need to be all three. Broken down in a non-functioning state, not immediately accessible, or unloaded and enclosed in a case. So what does not immediately accessible mean? The general rule is that it's not within arm's reach, but really comes down to would a reasonable person agree that the firearm is not immediately accessible? And that is very subjective. And whenever we talk about reasonable person, we're talking about a judge or a jury. Would a judge or a jury agree with you? You can't always be arrested, and then you have to prove your innocence in court. You are guilty till proven innocent, like it or not. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way it is. You've heard me say that many times. So for that reason, generally, if you want to err on the side of caution, in a trunk of a vehicle might be a very safe place to be considered not immediately accessible if your vehicle has a separate compartment. When we talk about unloaded and enclosed in a case, the criminal code says a firearm, carrying box, a shipping box, or an other container. And again, as I said, that's a very broad term. When we talk about a firearm carrying box, that could be the case that the firearm originally comes in. A shipping box can really be anything. Any cardboard box can be considered a shipping box. And when we talk about an other container, that's a very broad definition. In my layman opinion, not legal advice, but I believe a backpack to be a case, a fanny pack to be a case. 2009 Diggins ruling in Illinois Supreme Court, they ruled your glove compartment and your console are considered cases. Okay. So not immediately accessible, broken down in a non-functioning state. And what does that mean? If it is a semi-automatic pistol, for example, you take it apart. The slide comes off of the barrel. The slide comes off of the frame, and that is broken down in a non-functioning state. The firearm is not inoperable. You'd have to reassemble it if you wanted to fire it. Of course, if you're an Illinois resident, you need a FOID card. Non-residents do not need FOID cards because the state of Illinois will not issue firearm owner identification cards to non-residents except unless required for employment purposes, which is maybe security or something like that. Very, very few non-residents have. And again, non-residents don't need the FOID card. When we talk about a case, back up real quick, I can remember specifically a Michigan truck driver. I want to say this happened 2014, 2015. He was layover, overnight, walking down the street with his Glock unloaded in a Glock case. A Glock case says Glock on it. Everybody knows what Glock is. Even the blue-haired old ladies that hate guns know what a Glock is. And so this truck driver was arrested, and if my memory serves me, he was charged with illegally carrying a firearm, which he was not carrying. It was unloaded and enclosed in a case, and he was charged with not having a FOID card because you are guilty until proven innocent. And again, if memory serves me, charges were later dropped. So bottom line is you can always be arrested. Okay, so let's talk about carrying a firearm. As we know, you can only carry a handgun in Illinois. You can't carry a long gun. You can't carry a shotgun or a rifle. So you can transport a shotgun or a rifle, but if you want to carry, you can only carry a handgun. And the Illinois Concealed Carry License allows you to carry a loaded or unloaded handgun on or about your person, concealed or mostly concealed from the view of public, or on or about your person within a vehicle. So again, a handgun only for concealed carry purposes. You need an Illinois concealed carry license if you want to carry in Illinois. However, there is an exemption for non-residents, and that exemption is if the firearm remains within the vehicle, or you remain within the vehicle with the firearm, then you are licensed or authorized to carry in your state or territory, then you can keep that firearm in your vehicle, that loaded handgun in your vehicle. Again, the exemption applies only to people who can lawfully carry in their state of residence, okay? But if you want to carry in most public places, you need an Illinois concealed carry license. And yes, Illinois will issue concealed carry licenses to some other states, but not to all other states, okay? Now, let's talk about the Illinois assault weapon ban. All right, let's talk about the Illinois assault weapon ban and the transportation of firearms that are specifically banned for non-residents. The Illinois assault weapon ban says that non-residents, somebody who does not reside within Illinois, shall be allowed to transport a banned firearm from any place where they may lawfully possess and carry that firearm to any other place where they may lawfully possess and carry that firearm, so long as the firearm is unloaded and enclosed in a locked case. So if it's one of those scary black rifles, then your firearm has to be unloaded and enclosed in a locked case. Remember, the case doesn't need to be locked unless it is one of the banned items. We did a whole video, in fact we did 2 videos on what's actually banned. We've got a very extensive, lengthy list on our website of what's actually banned. So I'm not going to get into that in this video. Check the description for a link to that information. And while we're talking about that, check the description for a link to more information about transporting firearms in Illinois. We've got a lot more information on the website as well. So again, non-residents have an exemption. So do Olympic competitors and coaches for Olympic competitors. If they're transporting to and from an event, they too as well have an exemption. So not a lot of Olympic games going on in Illinois. I think there's a little bit of wishful thinking when they wrote that code, but there it is. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's pretty much the summary of everything you need to know about how to transport a firearm in Illinois. Again, we've got a link in the description to our website, which goes into much greater detail, actually cites all the specific laws that I'm talking about. This is just a spoiler to kind of give you a basic understanding of what the transportation laws are in Illinois. I encourage you to go check out that link and really dig into all of that information. Of course, nothing I said is legal advice. I'm an instructor, not a lawyer, but I believe everything I said to be accurate, or I wouldn't have said it. If you have any questions, leave a comment, or feel free to use the contact form on our website, alphaconcepts.com, to reach out. I'm more than happy to answer any questions when I can. While we're at it, also, while you're there, sign up for a firearm training class. We've got classes from the basic level all the way up to the advanced. I don't care if you've never touched a firearm or if you've been shooting your whole life. We can definitely make you a better shooter. So as always, everybody, be armed, be trained, and be alpha.